All right, guys, today we're going to look at the inequalities tests you can prepare for the retake. This test may have been a while ago for you, so if you can just follow along with what the steps are to solving inequalities, and make sure you ask me any questions before you take the retake, you should be fine. All right, let's look at question number 1, which is the value for r that makes the following true. All right, so we're going to... So there is a negative or minus sign in front of the 12. So we need to get rid of that minus 12 or negative 12. They mean the same thing, to isolate this r, to have the r all by itself. And we're going to add 12. So a lot of you that missed this one maybe didn't add 12 on both sides, but that's going to be our first step. And that cancels that out. It makes it 0, and 0 plus r is r. And r is greater than 36. So r is greater than 36, not equal to 36. So some of you might have looked over here and said, I don't have 36. That's because 36 is not an answer. The answers are everything you could put in for this r to make the statement true. And 36 is greater, or 37 is greater than 36. That's the only one that makes the statement true. A lot of this test was like that. You had to solve for the variable, but then understand that it's not always equal to that, right? Okay. All right, this one is negative 5 times x. So right away, you have to realize that you have to divide both sides by a negative 5. Divide both sides by a negative 5. And whenever we divide by a negative, that's the piggy tail. We flip the sign in the middle, and we keep, so the x is on this side, and negative 15 divided by a negative 5 is a positive 3. So some of you weren't seeing this negative sign in front of the 15 when you took the test the first time. So x is greater than 3, so it can't be that, it can't be that. It's an open circle, and the x is the bigger side. So always look for the variable and say, is that being eaten by the alligator? Yes, it is. So it's the bigger side of the inequality, which means my arrow has to go to the bigger numbers. So number 2 is C. All right, number 3. Okay, so this time we got to get rid of this 16 first. So the opposite of plus 16, and remember you're going in reverse order of operations to solve this, so we got to get rid of addition and subtraction first. So I'm going to subtract 16 on both sides to get 32. And then I got to get rid of this 4. And right now it's being multiplied by m, so I'm going to do the opposite and divide both sides by 4. And that's going to give me 8 is greater than or equal to m. But in my answer choices, the m is on the other side. So I still want the m to be the smaller side of the inequality, which is like this. The m is the smaller side. So a lot of you picked this one. Maybe you were looking at the sign, but we want the m to still be the smaller side of the inequality. All right. Number 4. Number 4, we had to get rid of the 10 first. So I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. And that's going to be greater than 25. And now I have to get rid of the negative 5, which is being multiplied by the y. A lot of you missed this because you added 5 here. That doesn't make that go away when it's being multiplied by the y. So we have to do the opposite of multiplication. And then we divided by a negative. So whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, you flip the sign. That's the piggy tail. So we're going to flip it to a less than, and positive 25 divided by negative 5 is a negative 5. So you got to remember flipping and your signs. All right, number 5. So we're going to get rid of this plus 4 first. Subtract 4 on both sides, so that's going to leave me with 8x is greater than or equal to 24. So now I got to get rid of that 8, and I'm going to do the opposite of times. You're always going to do the opposite. And I don't flip because I didn't multiply or divide by a negative, so x is greater than or equal to 3. So that's going to be a closed circle because I want to include the 3 in my answer. And the x is the bigger side of the inequality. It's being eaten by the alligator mouth, so I need my arrow to go to the right. So that would be A. All right, number 6. Select the inequality that matches this symbol. You have at most. If you have at most 5 candies, then you can have 5 or less. So you could be equal to 5, but the most you can have is 5, then this number has to be less. So the number of candies you have is less than or equal to 5. That's what at most means. You can have at most 5. So this one was really just thinking about what that word means, at most. It could be equal to 5. You can have at most this many candies. Number 7 is solve for x. So we need to get rid of that 3 first. Doing the opposite of plus 3, we're going to subtract 3 on both sides. And then we got to get rid of this 7, so we're going to divide both sides by 7. And x is greater than 2. And a lot of you got this wrong because you saw the 2 right here and just said, oh, that's the answer. But the answer is any number that can go here, which means it has to be a number greater than 2. And that correct answer was D. 8. June needs at least $575 to go on vacation. She earns $10 an hour for babysitting and already has $252 saved for the trip. So which inequality can we use to find the number of hours she needs to babysit? So she already has $252, and she's going to add to that $10 an hour for babysitting. So that's going to be our part that we're going to use to solve to figure out she needs to go at least means she needs that amount or higher. So this all of this money has to be greater than or equal to the $575 that it costs to go on the trip. So this symbol has to be greater than or equal to, and we're multiplying the 10 by the x, so this one is B. So the 10 times x, and it's a greater than or equal to 575. All right, number 9. Oh, is that it? Okay, that was it. If you guys have any questions before you take your retake, please ask them. Hopefully this helped figuring out how to solve the inequalities and graph them.